Welcome, listeners. Tonight's story is called The Neighbor Below, a story of silence and sound. The move started the first week after Lucas moved into the old apartment building near the university. He was a student, and the low rent was the main reason he chose it. The building was old and large, smelling like damp wood and old coffee. The walls were thin, the floorboards groaned when he walked, and the radiator hissed like it was alive. But that wasn't what truly bothered him. He was used to noise. He was ready for a normal, loud life.
Part 1. The Rhythm of the Night. Every night, around 1 a.m., a faint sound would rise from the apartment below. It was always the same. First, there was the music, a slow, melancholic tune as if played on an old, heavy gramophone. The melody was repetitive and simple, like a forgotten lullaby. It was not loud, but the old floorboards carried the vibrations straight into his bed. And beneath the melody, a soft, broken sobbing. The crying wasn't normal. It didn't follow the rhythm of the music. It was irregular, ragged, like someone was trying to stop but couldn't. It was the sound of deep, unending sadness. At first, Lucas thought it was just a neighbor going through a hard time. Maybe a heartbreak, he thought. He felt a little bad, but he did not want to interfere. He hoped it would stop after a few days. But weeks passed, and the sound never changed. Same time, same slow melody, same broken sobs, every single night. Lucas started to feel a strange, cold certainty that the sounds were not accidental. They were a routine. He bought thick earplugs. They helped with the radiator hiss, but they did nothing for the deep, low sound coming from the floor. He started to feel fear, a slow, heavy feeling in his stomach. He knew the music was waiting for the clock to strike 1. Part 2. The Empty Apartment. One afternoon, Lucas decided he had to ask. He went to the main office and spoke to the building manager, Miss Peterson. She was an older woman with tired eyes. "Excuse me, Miss Peterson," Lucas said. "I live in apartment 2B. I have a question about the neighbor below me in 1B. There is music and crying every night, very late. Is everything okay?"
Miss Peterson stopped writing and frowned. She looked at Lucas strangely. "Apartment 1B, she said slowly. "That apartment's been empty for years." Lucas felt a sudden sharp coldness. "Empty? But I hear music, and someone is crying." Miss Peterson sighed and looked down at her desk. "The tenant who lived there, Mr. Allister. He passed away about 4 years ago. A sudden heart attack. He was found sitting in his armchair. It was very sad. No one has rented it since. We keep it sealed. Maybe it was the pipes. The old building makes strange noises." "No," Lucas insisted. "This is music, a gramophone." Miss Peterson shook her head. "I don't know, son, but 1B is empty, completely empty." Lucas returned to his apartment. He tried to tell himself Miss Peterson was right. It had to be the pipes, or maybe the old heating system was making a sound that sounded like sobbing. He spent the rest of the day cleaning and reading, trying to feel normal. That night, Lucas did not sleep. He sat on his bed, waiting. He looked at the clock. 12:58 a.m. He held his breath. The music came again, slow and haunting. And then the sobbing. It was faint, but now that he knew the apartment was empty, the sound was terrifying. It was a sound without a source, a sound that should not exist. Part 3. The Descent. At 1:17 a.m., Lucas couldn't take it anymore. He felt he had to see. He needed to prove to himself that the manager was lying, or that there was a simple answer. He could not live with the unknown sound. He grabbed his phone, turned on the flashlight, and went downstairs. The old wooden stairs creaked loudly under his feet. He tried to step carefully, but the sound was unavoidable. The main hallway on the first floor was colder than his floor. The air was heavy with dust and something else, a strange metallic smell, like old blood or forgotten copper. The smell made him feel sick. He walked down the corridor. Every door was closed and dark. Then he saw it. The door to apartment 1B. It was slightly ajar, half open, a thin black line against the dark wall. The faint tune was leaking through the crack, much louder now, and the sobbing was raw and close. Lucas hesitated. His heart was pounding against his ribs. He was sweating. This was no longer an investigation. It was a mistake. He pushed the door gently. It made a dry, grating sound as it moved across the wooden floor. The room was dark and covered in dust. Moonlight shone weakly through a single window. The air was freezing. The metallic smell was overwhelming. In the middle of the dusty floor, an old record player was spinning. The wooden casing was dark. The vinyl was scratched, looping endlessly on the same few tragic notes. The arm of the player was stuck in the middle of the record. Lucas shone his phone's flashlight across the room. In the corner, an old armchair faced the wall. Someone was sitting there. Lucas felt all the air leave his lungs. The figure was large, completely still, wearing dark old clothes. "Sir?" Lucas whispered. His voice was shaking and weak. The sobbing stopped. The figure in the chair turned its head, very slowly, just slightly, to look at the light. Lucas's flashlight caught the face. It was pale, hollow, and covered in shadow. The skin was dry like parchment. The eyes were wide and empty. The mouth was open, but it was not breathing. There was no sign of life. It was the face of a man who had died sitting there. Lucas stumbled back, screaming, and hit the wall hard with his shoulder. The phone fell from his hand. The record player slowed. The music dropped in pitch, and then stopped completely. He did not look back. He ran upstairs, slipping on the old steps, and slammed his own door shut. He turned the lock twice and then pushed a chair against the knob. He sat on the floor, trembling, until the sun came up.
Part 5. The Escalation. The next morning, Lucas felt terrible, but he knew he had to check. He told himself it was a trick of the light, a dummy, a bad dream. He went downstairs again. The hallway was normal. The metallic smell was gone. The door to apartment 1B was sealed. He touched the wood. It was cold and rough. There was a thick layer of dust on the floor, dust that had not been disturbed since yesterday. The door was locked. He knew the truth. The door had been opened for him. The figure was real. The dust was real. Lucas spent the day trying to find a new place to live, but the university apartments were full. He had to stay one more night. He bought some strong sleeping pills. He wanted to sleep through the hour of the music, but he didn't take them. He was afraid of what might happen if he slept deeply. He sat in his room, lights on, waiting. The clock ticked slowly to 1 a.m. The music started again, slow, melancholic, the broken sobbing. But this time, the sound was not coming from the floor below. It was coming from the hallway outside his locked door. It was coming from his own floor. The music was louder. The sobbing was clearer. It was right outside the door where he had put the chair.
Lucas froze. He felt the sound had followed him. It had left the empty apartment and found him. He knew what the music wanted. It did not want the apartment below anymore. It wanted a new place to stay. It wanted him. The sobs changed. They were not sad anymore. They were angry and desperate. The music was screeching faintly through the door. Lucas sat absolutely still, listening to the broken, haunted sound of his new neighbor, who was not below but was finally home. He knew the silence would never return. And that was The Neighbor Below, a story of silence and sound. Lucas thought he was moving into an ordinary building, but some walls remember too much. He tried to escape the music, but once you listen long enough, it starts listening back. Comprehension check. Can you answer these? What sound did Lucas hear every night? What did Ms. Peterson tell him about the apartment below? What did Lucas find when he went into apartment 1B? Where did the sound come from at the end? What lesson can we learn from this story? If you enjoyed this tale and want more stories to improve your English through mystery and fear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.